You clicked on this video for a reason. Maybe your doctor told you your A1C is creeping up. Maybe you've been watching what you eat, doing everything they told you, and yet those numbers still aren't where you want them to be. Or maybe someone you love is dealing with type 2 diabetes, and you're quietly searching for anything that might help. Whatever brought you here, I'm glad you're watching, because what I'm about to share with you is one of the most underused, misunderstood, and frankly overlooked tools for managing blood sugar in people over 60. And it's sitting in your kitchen right now. We're talking about lemon water, but not the way you've been drinking it. Not the way most wellness influencers tell you to drink it. I'm talking about a very specific protocol. The timing, the temperature, the preparation, the additions that can drop your blood glucose by 25 to 40 points, and over time, meaningfully move your A1C in the right direction. Most people who try lemon water for blood sugar get minimal results because they're doing one thing wrong. They drink it at the wrong time. And once you understand the biology behind why timing changes everything, you'll never look at a glass of lemon water the same way again. Here's the question I want to plant in your mind right now, and I want you to hold on to it until the end of this video. If something this simple, this inexpensive, and this accessible can genuinely affect your body's insulin response, why hasn't your doctor ever mentioned it? I'll give you my honest answer before this video is over, and it might surprise you. I want to be upfront with you about something before we go further. I have spent an enormous amount of time synthesizing the research behind this topic, pulling from clinical nutrition studies, gastroenterology research, and metabolic science, specifically to bring you something you can actually use. Not theory, not vague suggestions. A concrete, evidence-based approach that is designed for the physiology of people over 60, because our bodies respond differently than they did at 40. The way we process carbohydrates, the speed at which our stomachs empty, the sensitivity of our cells to insulin, all of it shifts with age. And that's exactly why the lemon water protocol I'm walking you through today is age-specific and practical. Before we dive in, if you're finding this useful, take 2 seconds right now, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video, and give this a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more people like you find this content. And drop a comment below. Tell me what country you're watching from. I'd love to know where our community is tuning in from around the world. Hold on a second. Before we go any further, I've put something together for you. It's called the Glucose Paradox. It's a free guide on blood sugar and diabetes, and you can grab it for free through the link in the description. I'm telling you this now because I want you to finish this video with a concrete tool in your hands. To get it right away, just click the link in the description, head over to my site, and drop your email. You'll receive the guide in your inbox a few minutes later, but I don't want to take up any more of your time. Let's get back to the video. Let's start at the cellular level, because that's where this story actually begins. And once you understand what's happening inside your body, the protocol will make perfect sense. When you eat a meal that contains carbohydrates, bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, even fruit, your digestive system begins breaking those carbohydrates down into glucose. That glucose enters your bloodstream, and your blood sugar rises. The speed at which it rises is called the glycemic response, and for someone managing diabetes or pre-diabetes, that speed is everything. A slow, gentle rise gives your pancreas time to release insulin at a manageable rate. A fast, dramatic spike overwhelms the system, and over years, those repeated spikes are what drive A1C higher, damage blood vessels, strain the kidneys, and accelerate the complications we all fear. Now, here's what most people don't understand about digestion: the rate at which food leaves your stomach and enters your small intestine. What scientists call gastric emptying is one of the most powerful levers you have over your blood sugar response. Slow it down, and glucose enters the bloodstream more gradually. Speed it up, and you get a spike. This is actually the mechanism behind several diabetes medications that are now considered first-line treatments. They work, in part, by slowing gastric emptying. But citric acid, the compound that gives lemon juice its characteristic tartness, does something remarkably similar, through a completely natural mechanism. When citric acid arrives in your stomach before a meal, it triggers a cascade of physiological responses. It stimulates the production of gastric acid, which might sound counterintuitive, but this primes the digestive system in a way that actually moderates the speed of digestion rather than accelerating it. It also activates specific receptors in the pylorus, the muscular valve between your stomach and your small intestine, that slow the passage of food. Think of it like a traffic light at a highway on-ramp. The citric acid essentially turns that light to yellow, letting traffic merge more smoothly rather than flooding the highway all at once. The glucose from your meal enters your bloodstream at a slower, more controlled rate, and your pancreas has time to respond appropriately. But here's the part that makes timing so critical. This effect only works if the citric acid is present in your stomach before the carbohydrates arrive. If you drink your lemon water in the morning and then eat lunch 6 hours later with no lemon water beforehand, the gastric emptying mechanism has long since reset. The pyloric response is not something that stays active for hours. It requires fresh stimulation close to the time of eating. This is why the morning-only lemon water routine so many people follow gives minimal benefit for blood sugar control at lunch and dinner. The biology simply doesn't work that way. The window that research points to most consistently is 20 to 30 minutes before a meal. That's enough time for the citric acid to be distributed throughout the stomach, for the pyloric receptors to activate, and for your digestive tract to be in an optimally primed state when food arrives. This is not a soft guideline. It is the single most important variable in this entire protocol. You can do everything else perfectly, but if you're drinking your lemon water with your meal instead of before it, you're leaving most of the benefit on the table. Now let's talk about the lemon itself, because not all lemon is created equal, and this distinction matters more than most people realize. Fresh squeezed lemon juice from an actual lemon and the bottled lemon juice sitting in your refrigerator door are not the same product. They are not even close to the same product from a bioactive standpoint. Bottled lemon juice, including the kind labeled as 100% lemon juice, has been pasteurized. That process involves heat, sustained heat, applied to kill bacteria and extend shelf life. It does exactly what it's designed to do, but it also degrades vitamin C, which is heat sensitive and begins breaking down rapidly above about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. More importantly for our purposes, it degrades the polyphenolic compounds in lemon juice, including eriocitrin and hesperidin, that have been shown in metabolic research to independently improve insulin sensitivity and reduce oxidative stress in pancreatic beta cells. These compounds are not incidental. Eriocitrin, a flavonoid found in fresh lemon juice, has been studied specifically for its effects on glucose metabolism. Research has shown it can activate AMPK adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase, which is essentially a master switch in cellular energy regulation. When AMPK is activated, cells become more responsive to insulin. They take up glucose more efficiently, and the overall glucose burden on your bloodstream after a meal is reduced. Pasteurized bottled juice retains a fraction, sometimes less than 20% of these bioactive polyphenols compared to fresh squeezed juice. So when we say to use fresh lemon, this is not a culinary preference. It is a biochemical requirement. Half a lemon is the right quantity. One full lemon is not meaningfully better and may cause unnecessary acid exposure for people with sensitive stomachs or gastroesophageal reflux. Squeeze the lemon directly into your cup, then dilute with approximately 8 to 12 ounces of water. Do not strain out the pulp if you can tolerate it. The pulp contains pectin, a soluble fiber that itself has well-documented effects on slowing glucose absorption in the gut. Temperature is the next variable, and it is more nuanced than it might appear. The instinct for many people is to use cold water, especially in warm weather. But cold water, and particularly ice-cold water, creates a thermogenic burden for the digestive system. Your stomach must work to bring the contents up to body temperature before digestion can proceed effectively. This doesn't catastrophically disrupt the process, but it does alter the timing and can mildly slow the gastric stimulation response. Conversely, very hot water, above approximately 160 degrees Fahrenheit, can begin degrading the vitamin C and polyphenols in the fresh lemon juice, essentially replicating the pasteurization effect you just avoided by using fresh lemon. The ideal temperature is warm to tepid. roughly 98 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. This is approximately body temperature to slightly above it. It feels warm on your wrist, like comfortable bath water. At this temperature, the bioactive compounds are preserved, the digestive response is optimized, and the pyloric mechanism is activated effectively. Now I want to introduce you to a modification that turns this from a good intervention into a genuinely powerful one: the addition of Ceylon cinnamon. Not all cinnamon is created equal, and this matters. There are two primary types of cinnamon available in most American grocery stores. Cassia cinnamon is the dark, strongly flavored variety that comes in most standard spice jars and the familiar cinnamon sticks. Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes labeled as true cinnamon, is lighter in color, more delicate in flavor, and has a slightly papery texture. The distinction is not just culinary. Cassia cinnamon contains significant quantities of coumarin, a compound that at high doses over extended periods can contribute to liver stress. For someone using this protocol daily over months and years, the coumarin content of cassia cinnamon is a legitimate concern. Cassia cinnamon has negligible coumarin levels and is considered safe for daily, long-term use. The active compounds in cassia cinnamon include cinnamaldehyde, cinnamic acid, and a group of procyanidins that have been shown to enhance insulin receptor sensitivity at the cellular membrane level. They work by increasing the number of glucose transporter proteins, specifically GLUT4, that are expressed on the surface of muscle and fat cells. When more GLUT4 transporters are available, cells can pull glucose out of the bloodstream more efficiently in response to insulin. The result is a measurable improvement in postprandial blood glucose, the blood sugar reading you get in the 1 to 2 hours after eating. A quarter teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon added to your lemon water creates a synergistic effect. The citric acid modulates gastric emptying and slows carbohydrate absorption. The cinnamon compounds improve the cellular response to insulin once the glucose does reach the bloodstream. These are two different mechanisms acting at two different stages of the blood sugar response, and they compound each other. Studies looking at the combined effect of lemon juice and cinnamon together, rather than either in isolation, have found reductions in postprandial glucose that are meaningfully greater than the sum of the individual effects. That is the definition of synergy, and it is why this specific combination is worth emphasizing. One absolute rule: no sweeteners. Not honey, not agave, not even the small amount of maple syrup some recipes suggest. Not stevia, not monk fruit. Not because natural sweeteners are all equal, but because adding any sweet taste to this drink changes the cephalic phase insulin response. Your brain anticipates sugar and begins signaling an early insulin release that disrupts the precise metabolic timing you are trying to achieve. Keep the drink savory and tart. If the tartness is difficult to tolerate, add a tiny pinch of salt. It dulls bitterness and tartness perception without any metabolic consequence. Now let's talk about how this translates into actual results and what realistic expectations look like at different time horizons. In the first 48 to 72 hours, some people notice that their post-meal blood glucose readings are measurably lower. This is the gastric emptying effect in action, and it can be quite immediate if you're timing the drink correctly before carbohydrate-heavy meals. For someone whose typical lunch spike reaches 180 or 190 milligrams per deciliter, the first few days on this protocol might bring that peak down to 155 or 160. That's not a cure. It is not going to impress your endocrinologist, but it represents a real change in your metabolic response that your body is experiencing with every meal. By the end of 2 weeks of consistent use and consistent means every day, before every main meal, the cumulative effects on fasting blood glucose begin to emerge. This is partly because repeated daily reduction in postprandial spikes reduces the overall glucose burden on your pancreatic beta cells, allowing them to function with less strain. It's also because the AMPK-activating polyphenols in fresh lemon juice and the GLUT4 upregulating compounds in Ceylon cinnamon require time to produce structural changes in cellular metabolism. These are not acute effects. They are adaptive responses that build over time with repeated exposure. At the 4 to 6 week mark, people who maintain this protocol consistently alongside reasonable dietary habits, not a perfect diet, just a reasonable one, often see fasting glucose readings that are 10 to 20 points lower than their baseline. That is clinically meaningful And at 3 months of sustained daily use, the A1C can begin to reflect these changes. A1C is a rolling average. It captures your blood sugar control over approximately 90 days, and consistent daily reductions in postprandial glucose, accumulated over 3 months, can shift that number in a direction your doctor will notice. The word consistent in this context is not negotiable. This is not a protocol that works when you remember to do it. It requires turning it into a pre-meal habit with the same automatic quality as brushing your teeth. The physiological response depends on regular, repeated stimulation. Skip 2 or 3 days, and the adaptive cellular responses that have been building begin to reverse. This is not a dramatic reversal. The benefit doesn't vanish overnight, but it means the gains are maintained by habit, not by occasional effort. Let me be precise about what this protocol is and what it is not. It is a legitimate, research-supported dietary strategy for improving glycemic control that works through multiple mechanisms simultaneously. It is accessible, inexpensive, and appropriate for use alongside diabetes medication without interaction risk for the vast majority of people. What it is not is a replacement for your prescribed medications, your relationship with your healthcare provider, or the dietary and lifestyle interventions your care team has recommended. If you are on insulin or medications that carry a risk of hypoglycemia, be aware that this protocol does genuinely lower blood glucose, and you should monitor your readings accordingly when you begin. Some people on aggressive medication regimens experience readings that drop lower than expected. That is not a danger in most cases. It is actually the desired direction, but it means your medication doses may eventually warrant adjustment, and that conversation belongs with your doctor. Now, here is the answer I promised you at the beginning. Why hasn't your doctor mentioned lemon water as a tool for blood sugar control? There are a few honest answers. The first is simply time. A primary care appointment averages about 18 minutes in the United States. In that window, your physician is managing medication refills, reviewing lab values, addressing acute concerns, and navigating an electronic health record. Dietary interventions that require behavioral explanation and follow-up coaching don't fit easily into that structure, even when the science supports them. The second answer is institutional. Medical education is extraordinarily strong on pharmacology and considerably weaker on nutritional biochemistry. Most physicians are not trained in the specific mechanisms of citric acid on gastric motility or the GLUT4 upregulating effects of cinnamaldehyde. Not because they're incurious, but because that's not what medical school teaches in depth. And the third answer, the one that deserves to be spoken plainly, is that lemon juice and Ceylon cinnamon are not patentable. There is no pharmaceutical company funding large-scale clinical trials or developing an educational campaign for your prescribing physician around the pre-meal lemon water protocol. The research exists, the mechanisms are understood, but the infrastructure that translates research into standard clinical guidance requires commercial investment, and that investment follows patent protection. It follows profit margin, and there is no profit margin in a fresh lemon and a jar of spice from your grocery store. That is not a conspiracy. It is simply the economic reality of how health information reaches physicians and patients. And it is why you have to be your own advocate. Why videos like this one and guides like the glucose paradox exist. Because the information is out there, and someone needs to synthesize it and bring it to you in a form you can actually use. So here is your protocol, stated simply and completely. 20 to 30 minutes before lunch and dinner, and before breakfast. If that meal contains significant carbohydrates, squeeze half a fresh lemon into 8 to 12 ounces of warm water. The water should feel comfortably warm, not hot. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, stir thoroughly, and drink the entire glass before eating. Do this every day. Do not skip. Do not add sweetener of any kind. Expect to see meaningful changes in your postprandial readings within the first week, and meaningful improvements in fasting glucose within 2 to 3 weeks. Expect a 1C movement at 3 months if you remain consistent. That is it. That is the complete protocol. Simple enough to do every day, specific enough to actually work. And hey, if you made it all the way here, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Hit the like button to let me know this was worth your time. And leave a comment below. Tell me what country you're watching from. Seriously, I read every single one, and it means a lot to see how far this community reaches. You know what the problem is with diabetes and high blood sugar? Most people find out way too late, and by the time they do, they have no idea where to even start. That's why I decided to create a free guide. It's called The Glucose Paradox, and inside, you'll find everything you wish you'd known sooner. I'll explain how blood sugar actually works, and why your body sometimes reacts the exact opposite way you'd expect. That's why it's called a paradox. I've also included concrete habits you can start changing right now, even if you know zero about nutrition or medicine. It's free. You can download it in a second, and it might be the single most useful thing you do for your health today. Just click the link in the description to head to the site, drop your email, and get the guide sent straight to you. Don't put this off.